I don't think it's enough to just bring problems, Rich. And today you just come with a big problem.
Yeah.
Tell me, and maybe I've underestimated you. Maybe you've got the first clue how to solve this, but I don't doubt the problem. Tell me it.
So the problem is, when we lived in Austin for 4 months, which is a wonderful town, is that you can't buy anything online outside of the Deliveroos and everything else like that from American retailers without having a USA credit card. A registered USA credit card, which means we want to go and shop at Sprouts, or we want to go and shop at wherever, Best Buy, and we want to click and collect, and we don't want to have to go and do it, or we want it delivered. Can't do it. You have to go to the shop.
But like your Uber Eats or
Fine.
your Deliveroo,
Fine.
So why do you think they're fine, but you can't do it at the actual retailers?
Because I think it's to do with where you've originated your account and how you verified that you're actually real. So in Uber Eats, you verify that account in the UK. They know you're verified. They know you're trusting, and then you're just using a foreign card like you would do in store, because you're verifying that you're that person in store, right? Because you've got the card and you've got the PIN. So I think it's to do with verification. So I think if it's already established and they're willing to take that in your country, it's the same. So I'd be curious, can you use a USA credit card online in the UK? I don't know. I don't know whether you can do that. Maybe it's a proper problem, but I think it's a problem. And you're damn right. I have not come with a solution today, but I woke up and I was like, you know what? That was a real fucker. That was really annoying. And we've got like a Wise travel card. It's a USA card, but it's registered address, even though it's a USA billing account, is registered to my home in Brighton.
You know what? It's an interesting point, actually, because I think a lot of people waste years of their lives trying to solve problems that are unsolvable or they can't solve. So, like, intimately the business that we worked on, which was helping schools spend their money better, right?
Yeah.
Huge problem, wasting billions. Is that solvable by a small private company? Actually, probably no. No one's really solving that. And so the mistake that I made with that business was saying just because there's a problem means that there's a business there. And I think with credit cards, maybe there's a solution, this issue, but I certainly don't think that we have it.
Do you know what? I think, just thinking about it for 2 seconds there, do you know what I think it could be? And I could be throwing away $1 billion idea here. I actually think it's the verification process. So let's imagine that a USA company puts in a request for a British credit card. That has got to be verified back to Britain. And I think it's that payment as a service piece layer. But then you've also got to go and get retailers to be able to have the option to say UK, Albania, all of this kind of stuff. But I think it's that validation or verification back to your home country to go, this is legit, approve. That's the ticket.
Do you know where this would belong, this conversation? This
Probably
conversation belongs on some
CTO forum, payments, banking issue podcast.
CTO payments podcast.
Fintech.
Yeah,
not with
fintech. No. With us, and I'm going to bring it back to where we belong. And this isn't even fully there, but a little bit there.
Canal boats.
What?
Canal boats. I just watched our last episode. Canal boats, a bit different to this.
Yeah. Canal boats, a bit more accessible. Also, what's accessible is where I live, just about 30 miles outside of London. Huge shortage, and I've spoken about this before, of like chefs. And because it's probably quite hard to make stuff in a kitchen. Why? And this needs more research. I think this falls into the credit cards situation. But at least it's a bit more like a bit less deep, dark fintech. Could we not have a robotics business that has robotic chefs? So instead of like people in the kitchen making your food, because making food is, unless it's like really fine dining, but arguably even that, it is a process, right?
It is a process, yeah.
So surely the software and maybe not the hardware, but I would surely the hardware exists that you can have like a robotic thing that could make steaks. And if you could get that, that is going to solve so many problems. Like I look at the McDonald's kitchen, I see all those people buzzing around, and it looks like a production line. Surely. I wonder my question to you is, how far away are we from that being robotics? Is it 1 year or 10 years? Because it is not never.
Doug Haynes, co-host of Bear With Me podcast, likes to encourage the crushing of industries. Let's go for food production. Those poor souls are going to listen to this going, fuck no, Doug, I've just trained as a chef. It's not going to happen. Okay, let's think about this. There is a wicked company in Asia that we spoke to. I think it's called Ella or Emma or something. I think Emma's the mattress company. I think it's called Ella. They have recently launched a robotics arm that serves barista level coffee in underground tube stations in Japan. And when I say quality, I mean like the way it mixes, the way it does it, the way it delivers it, the way it presents it to you, the level of coffee bean, or et cetera, et cetera. And this thing is like, I think he's sold like 500 across Japan already. And it sits in a little booth, and it sits there. You tell it what it wants, and it whizzes around and does all this kind of stuff. Repetitive tasks. You tell it to do a latte, it knows where it's getting its milk from. You make sure that milk's topped up. You go and get this, gets its coffee bean from somewhere. It's programmatically understands exactly where to go for what period of time. So if there is something that could be done that needs a certain level of time, at a certain heat, because of a certain weight, delivered in a certain way, yeah, you probably could do it. I think the steaks one's interesting because typically it's about weight. It's typically about the customer order. Very challenging to get right. How many times have all of us walked in there and gone, that's not medium rare? You've absolutely burnt the hell out of that. So I think if you've got a chef going, bang, here's the steak, it automatically weighs it or sizes it or something, and you said rare, goes about its business. I'm certain with a bit of investment, that's totally possible. Needs a good name though, Doug.
It's not going to go from, no one working in McDonald's kitchen to, a full human staff to a full robotic staff, but it will go from full human staff to robotic,
hybrid,
human-enabled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that steak machine is going to be a machine.
Yeah, that sits in the corner. And the nice thing about it is it does 6 steaks perfectly. I mean, you've actually if you've seen The Founder, the McDonald's film, The Founder, you've seen that, about Ray Kroc, the guy he didn't found he did found McDonald's, but So he had the Speedy 6 shake machine, right? And that was to basically allow him to do 6 shakes all in one go. And then he brought up the powdered milk stuff to be able to do it even quicker because then he didn't have to use refrigeration. So that was all about evolution of that kitchen to make it quicker. When he came to that, there was no need to do it because it was about speed. But as soon as they implemented it and they built other things around it, it was a complete lifesaver. I would argue, and I don't know, I've never worked in a kitchen for longer than like a punishing week. I would imagine that if you had the ability to go and drop that steak in there and deliver that steak perfectly cooked every single time, once it's been seasoned or once it's been rubbed or cured or whatever, I think that takes the risk out of customer complaints. I don't think it's hard to be able to probably sear both sides or turn or whatever you need to do. Human just goes, bang, there's the steak, bang, there's the steak, bang, there's the steak, bang, there's the steak, and just crushes it out. Is it a big enough problem? I don't know. Could the tech be there? I'm certain you could do it now.
I think the tech has to be there. And it ultimately, it's just an efficiency measure, but it's just a huge cost-saving measure over time. Some of these London restaurants, that are pumping out a lot of covers on a Saturday night, they're just going to save a lot of money having that. So, okay, assume the tech's there for, say, a little steak-making machine.
It's got to have a name, Doug. Come on. Off the top of your head, you name this bad boy.
The Steak King.
Okay. I prefer numbers. Like something 7,000 would be better. But okay. Steakbot. Okay, right. Sorry.
479. So the commercial side of this surely would be like a leasing model, wouldn't it? Where you would go to restaurants, and they would just lease it over a period of time. I'd imagine if this was a food podcast, people would be switching this off because they'd be like, yeah, well, obviously we know this. This isn't new information. So for general business podcasts, maybe there's something there.